Carrera Cup the weekend here. Some 44 cars on the grid because it's not only the Porsche Carrera Cup Germany cars that are racing, but also those from the Scandinavian Cup as well. Makes for a very packed grid of cars. Cars making their way to the grid lineup right now. And whilst we put both of the Scandinavian Cup and the German Cup cars together, they will be scored independently with regards to their points championships. Which is being led by Mikael Ammermuller at the moment, who is on 90 points. Thomas Preining is P2 on 64, and Larry Tenborder is P3 on 53 points. With regards to the Scandinavian Cup, the championship is being led by Lucas Sundal, who has 113 points, whereas Oscar Palm is on 106, Roar Lindland on 92, and Pontus Fredriksson on 72 points is P4 in that championship. Of 2 weekends in a row for the Carrera Cup Deutschland here at the Nürburgring in support of the ADAC weekend, and next weekend as part of the Old Timer GP as well. This weekend, 2 pages of timing screen is not enough for the entire entry of cars that we have. So the pictures that we look at the moment of the paddock to the right hand side. Of course, the roller coaster that you can see to the left-hand side of your picture, which sadly is not in use. The camera position there is on the outside of the final turn, the Coca-Cola turn here at the Nürburgring. The grid lineup, Jasmine is Thomas Preining going from P1, Van Lagen, P2, Larry Tenborder, Igor Valilko. The first 2 rows of the grid, Robert Lucas and then Henrik Skoog, ahead of Ben Van Paris and Marius Nacken, before we see Mikael Ammermuller. And they're P9 on the grid, so work to do for Mikael Ammermuller from that P9 starting position.
Fahrlehrer während dem Rennenfahren dabei haben. Ja, genau. Ganz interessante Geschichte. Schwer aktiv, ist heute Morgen erst angekommen, gestern noch am Wilsterberg unterwegs gewesen. Vorgestern mit mir am Niederrhein Essen gewesen, dann gestern am Wilsterberg. Ja, und heute hier am Nürburgring. Hat sich vor vielen Jahren entschieden, das Ganze zu machen. Quasi Fahrlehrer Coaching und ist da wirklich sehr akribisch.
9 minutes away from the start of the race.
Seine Herangehensweise und
30 minutes allocated, 19 laps.
so wünschen sich das ganz viele.
The 3.629 kilometer Nürburgring circuit, 11 turns, 7 of them right-handers, 4 of them left-handers. Real challenging circuit with overtaking opportunities, and there is the fantastic shot of all the cars lined up on the grid ahead of the start of this race.
Auch noch das Rennen im Nudeltopf von Ungarn, vom Ungaroring vor den Toren Budapest.
So Porsche Carrera Cup Scandinavia and Porsche Carrera Cup Germany together this weekend.
Nämlich Thomas Reining, die Startnummer 10, aus der Mannschaft von BBT Lechner Racing. Und der steht eben mit der schnellsten Trainingszeit des heutigen Tages heute vorne und wird das im Übrigen morgen ganz genauso sein.
You can see the front row of the grid, Thomas Preining and Jaap van Lagen.
Ist es eben, wie gesagt, die dritte Trainingsbestzeit.
Jaap van Lagen driving the white, yellow and black car to the left-hand side, Thomas Preining on the right-hand side. It's an offset grid here where actually the pole position is on the right-hand side of the grid, which is actually the outside going into turn number 1. So boards held up by the marshalling team, advising of the time left before the start of the race.
In seiner Stammmannschaft bei Autotech im Supercup war es auch der dritte Platz in Ungarn.
Great onboard shot of Igor Valilko, who is going from P4 on the grid. And Tim Zimmerman then, the Black Falcon TMD friction driver, just ahead. And there is Larry Ten Voorde with the very, very tinted visor, which is more than his legs, it has to be said. If you were joining us for qualifying earlier on, you'd have heard my remarks that Larry Ten Voorde around the paddock in his shorts, proving that all the recent great weather we've had has not tanned his legs at all. Glenn Van Paris. And the cars are released then on their formation lap. And we will bring you the grid in full, and boy, it is a big grid of cars. 2 formation laps we are going to have, as deemed by race control. 2 formation laps. Sheer number of cars on track. Back on board with Igor Valilko. Very good qualifying. His best result so far, P5, which came in the second of the 2 races, last time out actually, of the Red Bull Ring. Weaving from side to side inside the Black Falcon car there. Drivers trying to generate some temperature into the tyres. Mikael Ammermuller with work to be done from his lowly starting position. Now there is Sundal then, Lucas Sundal from Sundal Racing, who is leading the Scandinavian Cup. Gustav Malja there. Once again, Lucas Sundal, who's the best of the qualifiers in terms of the Scandinavian Cup. Against arguably the best drivers in the Carrera Cup worldwide, and those of the German drivers, always considered the most competitive of the geographic Carrera Cups, Porsche Carrera Cups all over the world. Here comes the grid in full for you then. I'll take a deep breath. Thomas Preining and Jaap van Lagen on row 1, P1 and P2. Going from row 2, it's Larry Ten Voorde and Igor Valilko for Race Union. Row 3, it's Robert Lucas and Henrik Skoog. Row 4, Glenn Van Paris and Marius Nacken. Row 5 is Mikael Ammermuller and Lucas Oertel. Row 6, Tony Wolff, Dylan Pereira. Row 7, Jean-Baptiste Simonard and Michael de Quesada. Row 8, Gustav Malja and Jacob Eidson. Then to row 9, where we find the best of the Scandinavian racers, Lucas Sundal alongside Sandro Kaibach. Tim Zimmerman and Bjorn Schmidt-Stahle go from row 10, with Roar Lindland and Stefan Raykop on row 11. Row 12 is Carlos Rivas and Pontus Fredriksson. Row 13, Tom Lautenschlager, Magnus Oman. Row 14, Richard Wagner and Christopher Bergström. Row 15 of the grid, Anton Markland and Matt Carlsen. Row 16, as we continue, Oscar Palm and Stefan Andre Feet. And row 17, P33 for Andreas Skapansky, P34 for Peter Schofen. Hugo Anderson, Thomas Carlsen complete row 18. Row 19 is with Chris Wright and Frank Arage. Row 20, Soren Spreng and Ole William Nesnes. And row 21 for Matthias Weyland and Siyuka Kassi. Row 22, David Lefebvre and Robin Jensen. So there we have the grid. And there we have our pole sitter, Thomas Preining, who has taken 2 race wins in the last 2 races. He had a torrid time at the start of the season, taking a P11 and a P7 at Oschersleben, but then got everything together at the Red Bull Ring, P1 in both of the races for BWT Lechner Racing. So this, the end of the second formation lap now, and the cars will be brought back into their grid boxes. There is Thomas Preining. Jaap van Lagen, always a dangerous driver, particularly in Carrera Cup car. Larry Ten Voorde and Igor Valilko with a great qualifying. It's the second fastest lap times that set the grid for this race. Fastest lap time set the grid for race 2 tomorrow. We will have some time before the grid is completely formed, and for Thomas Preining and Jaap van Lagen it's a nightmare because they have to wait. I mean, the final cars are only now making their way, as you can see, out of the NGK chicane, so it's a long while waiting at the front of the pack. It's going to be a very busy racetrack, that's for sure.
In Richtung Turn 1. Ey, die letzten stehen wirklich in der Kurve. Ich glaub's ja nicht. Die lassen sich erzählen, wo die Startampel ist. Sehen.
Right at the very back, the 969 car of Robin Jensen. And once that is into its grid box, we will get a green flag from the marshal at the rear, and the race can get underway.
Der wird jetzt die grüne Flagge zeigen. Das ist das Zeichen für den Renndirektor Werner Eichinger. Wir könnten anfangen.
So race 5 of 14 is about to start. Feels like forever that Thomas Preining and Jaap van Lagen have been waiting at the front of the field. There is the green flag from the marshal at the rear. Stand by for action. This is going to be very busy as the lights go out and Thomas Preining and Jaap van Lagen get away. Thomas Preining immediately defending that inside line. Larry Ten Voorde is in P3, runs himself almost alongside Jaap van Lagen, thinks better of it and tucks himself into containing that P3 position. If all the cars make it through turn 1 without any skirmishes, then it'll be a huge credit to the Carrera Cup drivers. Mikael Ammermuller already starting his charge. He needs to move his way up the order if he possibly can. And moving through into P4, I think Robert Lucas has made a move from Force Racing already. So Robert Lucas and Igor Valilko absolutely side by side, trying to take advantage as out goes Richard Wagner. So the Race Union UAE driver Richard Wagner, he does manage to get the car going again, but significant damage to the back end of that car following the tap on the barriers, I suspect. And Thomas Preining leading from Jaap van Lagen, and then So we just crossed to see, well, through the advertising hoarding, and actually perhaps the impact on the barriers for the Richard Wagner car was not as great as I first thought. First lap completed then. Preining, Jaap van Lagen, Ten Border, Lucas, Henrik Skoog has got past Valilko as well. Problems there for Larry Ten Border as he tried to close the door. Finds himself put back 2 places by Robert Lucas and Henrik Skoog. Henrik Skoog now trying to find his way past Robert Lucas, and Larry Ten Border having lost out on 2 places, desperately trying to make his way back up the order then. Gone from P3 down to P5. So some really good driving from Henrik Skoog to put himself up into that P3 position. Preining and Van Lagen up the road. Larry Ten Border, the big loser there, unfortunately. And Mikael Ammermuller there in the number 11 car, as you can see. See again, Larry Ten Border was on the outside, went to turn in, but it was full of the Robert Lucas car, and Henrik Skoog able to take advantage of that at the same time. Little tap from Larry Ten Border on the back of the Henrik Skoog car, and Igor Valilko right behind Larry Ten Border. So Preining has got 8/10 over Van Lagen and Henrik Skoog. Robert Lucas side by side, as Larry Ten Border will now try and get to the inside, but Robert Lucas will try and close the door. Let's go on board with Larry Ten Border now. So he tries to wrestle his way back. If he can get the momentum here, the inside of that turn soon becomes the outside though, but and Ten Border now underneath. That's good recovery from Larry Ten Border. Fair play to him for that. Looking back from Larry Ten Border on the car of Robert Lucas. Little love tap between the two of them. Henrik Skoog right on the gearbox of Robert Lucas as well. And in fairness, there's a big queue of cars behind the P3 driver, one of whom is Mikael Ammermuller. So here they come into the NGK chicane. And there is Mikael Ammermuller there, fighting with the 28 car of Dylan Pereira. He's got something of the measure of Dylan Pereira, losing out another place following that slightly unorthodox route through the NGK chicane. Preining leads from Van Lagen, P2. Ten Border is P3, but it's being chased all the way by Robert Lucas and also Henrik Skoog, and trying to buy into the battle as well is the Gustav Malja car. Number 87 under investigation. I'd like to see a replay of that. So it was Glenn Van Paris that went around in car number 15. Whether there was an assist, this was what worried me. It was side on to everything else, but did manage to get it pointing in the right direction. And Igor Valilko then did assist. See from the onboard pictures. So Preining with 1.8 seconds of good to Jaap van Lagen, who is P2. Larry Ten Border is P3. Lucas Skoog 4 and 5. And then it's the Glenn Van Paris car that is P6. Valilko is down to P7. Ammermuller up to P8. Marius Nacken P9. And Jean-Baptiste Simonau is P10. Number 24 car of Jacob Eidson. It's passed by De Quesada. Well, that's actually, it's Van Paris, isn't it? Dropping back down the order. Beg your pardon. Out onto the runoff area and onto the gravel. Safely back out onto the tarmac. Race leader, P2. And here is Larry ten Voorde, who's still not been able to shake off Robert Lucas and Henrik Skoog. Wolf and De Quesada having a real battle there. And the best of the Scandinavian drivers to show is Sundal then, who is running in P20, as you can see, chasing down the car of Jorn Schmidt-Stade, which is car number 12. Through the kink of turn 8, heading up towards the NGK chicane. Inside of Jorn Schmidt-Stade, Sundal moves up another place. Carlos Rivas tries to take advantage of that little hole that was built there as well. Michael De Quesada and Lucas Wolf together. Gustav Malja has got Erdl ahead of him. So Sundal moves himself up into P18, and Carlos Rivas does get past Jorn Schmidt-Stade as well. And Jorn Schmidt-Stade with the Tom Lautenschlager car behind now. Sandro Kai back there is next in the target sights of Sundal in the 902 car. Lucas Sundal of Sundal Racing in the Scandinavian Championship. On lap 6 of 19, as a round has gone Bergström. Now, where that car is situated and whether that car can be moved, just ran out wide, caught one of the barriers, and Christopher Bergström ends up pointing in the wrong direction. So now finds himself behind Robin Jensen, and there is a drive-through penalty for car number 37, Igor Valilko, who is currently in P6, but he's going to get a drive-through penalty for pushing another car, which really helps Mikael Ammermuller, because Ammermuller is P7 right behind Valilko, so that's going to elevate Mikael Ammermuller up a further place. There is confirmation of that drive-through penalty. There is our race leader, Thomas Breining, and there is Jaap van Lagen in P2, and Larry ten Voorde has shaken off those P4, 5, 6 and 7 cars, and Mikael Ammermuller is on the back of that pack now. There is Dylan Pereira, Jean-Baptiste Simonauer as well, and you can see that piece of barrier that's stuck in the middle of the track as Carlos Rivas runs wide. Now, whilst it doesn't present any massive danger because it is only polystyrene, around goes Tom Lautenschlager in the number 98 car. He's side on to the rest of the pack. Good avoidance by all the drivers thus far. Oh, and Lautenschlager does. I'll tell you what, that was a hairy moment. So there is Carlos Rivas, and Lautenschlager just carries a little bit too much speed and ends up pirouetting around and collected by another back end of a car, but thankfully being side on, avoided being collected by anybody else. Now that's Gustav Malja, who is about to be passed by Tim Zimmerman following that excursion. And damage to the 991 car of Oscar Palm, who of course is P2 in the Scandinavian Championship. So that is not a help towards his championship aspirations. Out of the car, and he can see the damage, and he's pretty cross about that. Now, this is Weiland in car number 17. Matthias Weiland, who's just crawling across the line. There's obviously a problem with that car as well, and that is so slow. Now, it is off the racing line, providing the racing line is single file. If you get a fight with two cars side by side, that could be a real problem. Here come the race leaders now. Thomas Preining, he crosses the timing line with a good margin of 3.1 seconds over Jaap van Lagen. Larry ten Voorde is P3. Igor Valilko comes in to serve his drive-through penalty. Weiland does manage to get the car to safety, thank goodness. And Valilko comes out alongside Chris Wright. Big lock up there from the number 20 car of Henrik Skoog. Chasing down Robert Lucas, and of course lurking in the background, the all-pink Mikael Ammermuller car. There is Larry ten Voorde. So Lucas is under pressure now from Henrik Skoog, but both of them are being put under pressure, of course, by championship leader Mikael Ammermuller, who has made his way up to P6 in the order. There is Sundal then, who is running in P16. He's got Gustav Malje ahead of him. And there you can see the Gustav Malje car. So the order is Thomas Preining, Jaap van Lagen, Larry ten Voorde, Robert Lucas, Henrik Skoog, Mikael Ammermuller, Carrera, Marius Nacken, Jean-Baptiste Simonin, Ertl, rounding out the top 10. In the 912 car, Roar Lindland then for Fregus Motorsports, who is currently running in P20, making his way past Jorn Schmidt-Stade. 9 laps of the race left to run. Thomas Preining, absolutely electrifying pace. Sandro Kaibach also in that mix, and Carlos Rivas with Jorn Schmidt-Stade still showing a clean pair of heels though to the 912 car of Roar Lindland. And there was that huge lock-up from Sandro Kaibach, who then had to take the alternative chicane. Lucas and Henrik Skoog, this ding-dong battle, which is really playing into the hands of Mikael Ammermuller, who will just allow them to fight ahead. You can see there's been a touch or two from Henrik Skoog on the back of Robert Lucas, and there's Mikael Ammermuller just waiting to take advantage if they continue to trade blows, and he's put into a position where he can force his way past. So this, as the graphics indicate, is the battle for P4, and there's another touch from Henrik Skoog onto the back of Robert Lucas, and that slows both of them and allows Mikael Ammermuller to get even closer. You can see him just waiting for a hole to appear. Ammermuller now will try and get alongside Henrik Skoog, but Skoog has got too much momentum. They go through the kink at turn 8, heading up towards the NGK chicane. And it's here off the back of the NGK chicane where you can set up a move through the Coca-Cola turn and into turn number 1 even. But Mikael Ammermuller has done it off the back of the NGK chicane, puts himself alongside and past Henrik Skoog, and next in his target sights will be the car of Robert Lucas. So Mikael Ammermuller is up to P5. So as I say, next in his target sights is going to be Robert Lucas. Henrik Skoog tries to come back at the number 11 car. Unable to do so at the moment. Mikael Ammermuller, hugely experienced, hugely successful racing driver. But Robert Lucas, who is running in P4, has had a couple of podiums the opening rounds of the season at Oschersleben. And, well, a huge error there from Robert Lucas for Force Racing. Sees him run wide, and Henrik Skoog and Mikael Ammermuller both able to say tar very much and go straight through. Now he finds himself battling with Jean-Baptiste Simonin, having lost a handful of positions because Dylan Pereira and Marius Nacken have also been able to go past. So, unbelievably, Mikael Ammermuller now is up to P4. The 911 car of Pontus Fredriksson rejoins and gets alongside the Peter Schofen car. Now this was the Mikael Ammermuller overtake on Henrik Skoog. Got it set up absolutely perfectly with a tighter line on the exit of the NGK chicane. Was able to put himself on the inside of the Henrik Skoog car and put himself ahead, and then to advantage both of them, Robert Lucas ran wide, letting both of them through. So Larry Ten Voorde, who is at P3 now, mind you, he's got a good 5-second advantage over Mikael Ammermuller. And with 6 laps of the race remaining, Preining, who's got 4.2 on Jaap van Lagen. Van Lagen has got something like 2.6 on Ten Voorde. We're with Tim Zimmerman now, who's running in P13. We were looking backwards from the Glenn Van Parijs car. Lovely to hear these cars' engines scream. Lucas Erdl with a problem at the chicane in car number 3. Side by side around the final turn, the Coca-Cola turn, heading towards the timing line now. So Preining, Van Lagen, Ten Voorde, and look at this huge gaggle of cars as they head in towards turn number 1. Glenn Van Parijs then we go on board with now, because these onboard shots are absolutely fantastic. So Van Parijs then on the inside of Lucas Erdl, and just ahead of Lucas Erdl is the Jean-Baptiste Simonin car. Here comes Zimmerman in car number 5, and Gustav Malja trying to buy into this as well. So on board with Glenn Van Parijs. And this through turn number 1 was the unfortunate pirouette for Hugo Anderson in car number 939. Very good avoidance there from Ole William Niersnes. and some dust being kicked up by Hugo Anderson. And this then is Michael Ammermuller, these super slow-mos, who was just able to take advantage of that error by Robert Lucas. Race leader Thomas Preining now in the final stages of this race, catching some of the back-marking cars ahead. Preining got 5.1 seconds last time around on Jaap van Lagen. What's it going to be this time? We run it live on screen for you. It remains 5.1. Back looking at the Glenn Van Paris car from being on board with Tim Zimmerman, and we go on board with Glenn Van Paris now, P12 and P13. Now the number 98 car of Tom Lautenschlager is judged to have jumped the start and is going to get a 5-second time penalty added to his race time. So there, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, Lucas Sundahl is going to be on the back of Gustav Malja shortly in the 902 car, the best of the Scandinavian Cup cars. So side by side and through the heat haze comes this battle that's been going on between Jean-Baptiste Simonauer and Luc Seidel. Luc Seidel with the inside line. Jean-Baptiste Simonauer will try and get underneath the Luc Seidel car now and try and carry just a little bit more speed, but unable to do so. Meantime, Glenn Van Paris in the number 15 car goes around with the number 16 car of Gustav Malja, almost caught in that as well. Well, he manages to get the car recovered. So there you can see Glenn Van Paris going around. Board with the number 99 car of Chris Wright, taking a trip across the grass. And ends up into the barriers very nearly. Peter Schoffen is the first of the back-marking cars to come up against the race leader Thomas Preining. Will surely let Thomas Preining go through unhindered. And there is Michael Ammermuller. Very good job to make it up into P4. Robert Lucas, of course, returning from that off moment. And they're the best of the Scandinavian Cup drivers. Sundahl then in car number 902. Lucas Sundahl doing a very, very good job. Quite see why he's leading the Scandinavian Cup. So in the melee that involved Gustav Malja and also Glenn Van Paris, Sundahl was able to get past both of them. As Tim Zimmerman and Jean-Baptiste Simonauer trade a little bit of paint on the out of the NGK chicane, but Tim Zimmerman with the inside line should be able to go through relatively easily and break the timing beam. Thomas Preining then with 5.2 seconds of margin at the front. There's the very plain white Jean-Baptiste Simonauer car of Lechner Racing. That was a bold and ambitious move on Chris Wright by the 909 car of Thomas Carlson. And here we can see just the little tap there was, but of course also able to take advantage was Christopher Bergstrom. Until that point, when Chris Wright and Christopher Bergstrom find themselves on a part of the track that we're not using. So on the final lap then, Thomas Preining, who has not looked troubled from the start, to be fair. Had a very good command of the race. Has only 2/3 of a lap left to do before taking the win. As you can see, catching up with some of the back-marking Scandinavian Cup cars, but with very nearly 6 seconds to the good. It would take a Herculean effort from Jaap van Lagen, or a Herculean problem for Thomas Preining, for him to potentially lose this lead. So past the 988 car of Anssi Ukakazi. And for the final time of asking in this race, Thomas Preining makes his way through the NGK chicane and heads towards the checkered flag, which will be unfurled. It will be the 3rd win for Thomas Preining this season. And he takes the win in commanding style from Jaap van Lagen, who is about now crossing the timing line. So, Walter Lechner Jr. there, delighted with that win. Larry Ten Voorde takes P3. And Mikael Ammermuller, a great drive from Mikael Ammermuller to finish P4. P5 is Henrik Skoog. P6 is Dylan Pereira. P7 is Marius Nacken. 8 is Robert Lucas. And the best of the Scandinavian Cup cars, the 902 car of Lucas Sundal. Well, I have to say, with such a big grid of cars, I feared for potentially some real problems, but actually I think credit to all the drivers. Delivered a fantastic race relative to the number of cars that were in the race. So Thomas Preining, Jaap van Lagen P1, P2, Larry Ten Voorde makes it the 3rd P3 in a row. Confirmation of the result then: Thomas Preining, Jaap van Lagen and Larry Ten Voorde the top 3. Mikael Ammermuller, Henrik Skoog, Dylan Pereira, Marius Nacken and Robert Lucas completing the top 8. Tony Wolff, Lucas Oertel, Tim Zimmermann, Jean-Baptiste Simonauer, Gustav Malja and Lucas Sundal, the best of the Scandinavian Cup drivers, Michael de Quesada and Carlos Rivas, occupying positions 9 through 16 with Igor Valilko. Following that drive-through penalty, Jorn Schmidt-Stade, Glenn Van Paris. Then it was Roar Lindland, Jacob Eidson, Stefan Raykop, and the rest of the order on screen, as you can see. So Thomas Preining being congratulated down there. And there the cars into Parc Fermé. Yeah, Van Lagen with the crash helmet off already. Sundar then. What a great job he did. There, the Thomas Preining race-winning car then.
What was it like racing against the German guys? It was much tougher than in Sweden, and more close racing, and fair racing.
With his back to us there, the grey t-shirt on to the very left of the picture is Ola Nielsen, former Carrera Cup driver himself. Very, very talented racing driver. So Lindland's car, Sundar's car as well. Super slow-mo's the top three then. Larry ten Voorde takes P3. P2 to Jaap van Lagen. And the race winner, Thomas Preining. So the drivers having headed from Parc Fermé up to the podium. And hopefully it will be Burkhard Bechtel that will be doing the duties on the podium.
Ich muss sagen, Gott sei Dank, wir haben ja hier am Donnerstag beim Test gesehen, dass der Tommy gut drauf ist und hat einen sehr guten Astrennen-Job gemacht von Qualifying bis zum Rennen. Aber viel lieber möchte ich meinem Vater zum Geburtstag gratulieren.
So we look at the Scandinavian Cup cars that have been and are competing with the German Carrera Cup cars this weekend. As I say, huge credit to all the drivers. I thought they did a fantastic job. And there's some 44 cars on the grid. So from the images that we can see, we're not far away from the podium being got underway. Just such a tight schedule here, and sure enough, there is the famous Burkhard Bechtel to the left-hand side of the picture there. Here they come. Thomas Preining first of all, Jaap van Lagen and Larry ten Voorde up onto the podium.
zu Siegerehrungen und zu Ehren von Thomas Preining, der dritte Sieg in diesem Jahr. Deine Hymne.
And of course the Lechner team there, national anthem time. Trophy presentation time. Another Carrera Cup race to come, of course, tomorrow. Stig Blomqvist, legendary World Rally champion. I had opportunity to speak to him very briefly yesterday. Great to see Stig here making the trophy presentation to the race winner, Ryan Vermelin, the director of Porsche Sweden, making the trophy presentation to Jaap van Lagen. Thomas Preining having received his from Stig Blomqvist. And Oliver Koppen, the project manager for the Carrera Cup Deutschland, does a great job, makes the trophy presentation to Larry ten Voorde. And Stig once again here to present the Lechner team with their trophy. Whoa, 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 hang on a minute, Mr. Van Lagen. It's not quite time. You're supposed to pose with your trophy first before spraying the bubbly. In the driver classification, Mikael Ammermuller still at the top on 103 points, but Thomas Preining has got a lot closer as the champagne now officially can be let go. Carrera Cup race 1 done and dusted. Another race to come tomorrow. Please make sure you join us for that. Bye-bye for now.
Deutsche sind gastfreundlich. Hinstellen, applaudieren. Danke. So, wir wischen gerade noch einmal hier oben grob durch und rufen dann anschließend die Kollegen aus der skandinavischen Meisterschaft auf, die uns viel Spaß und Freude am heutigen Tag gemacht haben. Es hat nicht ganz gereicht, um wirklich ganz vorne mitzufahren. Wir reden eher um die Positionen so ab 13 und so weiter. Er pumpt immer noch ein kleines bisschen, aber ich glaube, er ist grundsätzlich zufrieden. Hier sind eure 3 Sieger, sorry for speaking German, des skandinavischen Carrera Cup. More than welcome. P1 to 3, Lukas Sundal, Roland Land, and the trophy and the national anthem of Sweden.